Hello to our friends in Southern California and in 34 countries all over the world. My name is Philip with Rultract, and today I'm going to quickly go over the setup of the Rultract paniculectomy set. Now, because I'm going to be in the OR with you and also with you the day before the procedure, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail with this setup video. I just want to show you what to expect once we get into the OR. So the first thing that you're going to do is to attach your Rultract post clamp to the OR table bed rail. Now we're going to open those jaws all the way by turning this knob counterclockwise until the jaws are completely open. Now what I like to do is to put the retractor right about where the crease is, where the pannus were to begin. So somewhere right around the hip, maybe a little above or below hip level. Of course, the surgeon is going to have final say on where to put this retractor. And once we see the patient's anatomy, that will help us decide as well. So we're going to go ahead and put this on. What I like to do is put it onto the top part of the OR table bed rail and then kind of rotate it in and squeeze it together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Put it onto the top part of the rail. I know you can't see that. I'll do a close-up for you. And then I rotate it in and I squeeze it together. Now I'm going to hold these jaws together, squeeze them together. I'm tightening the knob as I squeeze the jaws together. I don't want to use the knob to tighten the jaws together. I want to squeeze them and then use the knob to tighten it. You want to have somebody in the OR that is strong enough to tighten this very tight on the OR table bed rail. Once you have it as tight as you possibly get it, I may be able to do it if I'm in the OR underneath the drape. Grab the top part of this post clamp and try to move it. If it moves at all, it's not tight enough. You need to tighten it more. So we're going to go now to the other side of the bed and put the post clamp onto the bed rail directly across from the other one, because these two pieces need to be joined together over the top. So they have to be almost perfectly aligned across from one another. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be very close. So go ahead and turn that knob all the way to open those jaws. What I was saying when I was telling you to squeeze the jaws together and then turn the knob, this is what I mean. So if you're on that rail, you want to squeeze these together and don't let them go. Keep squeezing them on the rail and just turn the knob to tighten the jaws on the rail. Something you want to be aware of is if you have your thumb right there, when you're tightening that knob, your glove can get stuck there. So give yourself some room. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. Put the top portion on the rail. You can see that a little bit better on this side. Rotate it in. Squeeze those jaws together. I'm going to keep squeezing them. And then I turn that knob to tighten it to make sure that it's as tight as it can get. Now, as I look here, I can see that we are not directly across from this one. So I'm going to adjust this. Just kind of eyeball it. Try to get as close as you can to right across from one another. Now I made that look a little more difficult than it needs to be. Go ahead and tighten that as tight as you can. Okay, once the post clamps are in place and you're sure that they're as tight as they can be, you're going to take the top portion of this and just set it onto the bottom post clamp. Turn the collar, make sure it's properly seated. Okay, so the two sides are now set up. Now what we're going to do is put our crossbar over the center. And in order to do that, you're going to take the bar and take your two end pieces. Make sure that these lock knobs are opened all the way. That's something to be very conscious of, because if they're not, these pieces won't go in. So we have those opened all the way. I'm going to go ahead and slide the end piece in. And then what I would do here is I would have this position to go onto the top part, holding it like this. And then you would have someone on the other side of the table that would take their end piece and put it in. Now you kind of hold these together and they slide very easily in and out. Normally they slide very easily in and out. So you go ahead and pull them out so they're aligned with the top part of the post, and just go ahead and drop it on. And that's really all that it takes. Now there are alignment marks that you won't be able to see here, but you'll be able to see them clearly in the OR. Line the end of this up with the alignment marks, and then go ahead and tighten your lock knob down. You have to make sure that it's tight into one of the detents on the top portion of these end pieces. Again, there's an alignment mark here. Go ahead and line that up. And tighten your lock knob down. Now you have the top portion locked into place. What we're ready to do now is to add the extensions. So we have 3 of these. I actually have 4. I have an extra one in case somebody drops one. What we're going to do is just drop these right on to the top extenders. Now again, these have lock knobs. You have to make sure those lock knobs are opened all the way, because a pin goes through there to lock it into position. If you don't have it opened all the way, it won't go on. I'll give you an example. So you need to open those lock knobs all the way, and you'll realize it when you go to put it on. If it doesn't go on, you need to open that lock knob. So I have that opened all the way. I'm going to drop it into position. I tighten these even though they don't need to be tightened at this point, because they're all the way at the bottom portion of that extender. I'm going to go ahead and open the lock knob all the way and drop it into position, and again I tighten it. Now we're ready to add our Rultract assemblies. So you're going to take this, make sure your lock knob is opened all the way. Show you the detent, the pin in there that goes into the detent to lock it into position. So it's opened when you put it on. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it onto the extender. I put it about 3 detents back initially. Of course, it can be adjusted. Then I tighten the lock knob down to prevent it from sliding off. We have 3 of these. Make sure the lock knob's open all the way. On the end, I like to have the handle facing out, because it's much easier to manipulate than it is to wrap your hand around and try to adjust it that way. In the middle, it depends on, I suppose, where the surgeon is, if they want to turn the handle themselves or if an assistant does. It doesn't really matter which way this one goes on. So we just put it on, line it up between the guidelines, tighten it down, put the last one on. Again, this handle should go to the outside because it's easier to adjust. Line it up between the guidelines, tighten your lock knob. Now we are ready to lower the snap clip down to the incision, and to do that we put on these aerial hoist bars. They're called AHAB bars. So you go ahead and snap that into position onto your snap clip. Now I do have 4 of these as well, in case one gets contaminated or dropped. There'll be 4 in the kit, and there'll be 4 of these in the kit as well. So you go ahead and snap those on. Now we're ready to lower it to the incision. To do that, there is a reversing lever on this ratchet. You can see that little lever there. Try to pull this cable down to the incision. If it doesn't come down, flip that lever, and then you can just pull it straight down. So I'm going to do that here, lowering it to the incision. Something to keep in mind, and it's very important, is we use a large number of towel clips in order to get to the pannus and retract the pannus. The towel clips actually go into the pannus, and then we gather them together and we put them into our AHAB bars, into the snap clips. So we have to have at least 20 towel clips in the room. 6-inch to 8-inch towel clips. They all have to be the same size. They can't be 6 and 8. Well, I suppose they could, but it would be a little difficult to use. So if you have a large number of towel clips, whether they be 6 inches or 8 inches, please have them in the room because we don't supply them. So once you have the towel clips into the pannus, then you grab the pannus with your AHAB bars all the way across, and then of course you just elevate it to where you need it to be and then you can start the dissection. When you're finished, one of the nice things about this set, of course, we would take all of this down, but you would have your Ahab bars still in the Pannus, because the towel clips are attached to the Pannus and the towel clips are also attached to this. So what you're able to do is to lift that Pannus using these as handles, and then you can remove it from the field. So these are very good to have. We have yet to find a Pannus that we were not able to retract. So I feel confident in coming out to visit with you guys that we will be able to retract that Pannus for dissection. Thanks for watching the video. I hope it was helpful. Email or call me with questions, and we will see you, I believe, on the 11th. Have a nice day.